What's up, everybody? Today's video is how José Mourinho became the special one and broke football. My name is Greg, an American living abroad in Spain, learning the beautiful game of football one reaction at a time with your help. And today's video is brought to you by Soccer Stories. Oh my goal. I love that name. I will include a link in the description so you can go and show them some love. And also, if you want to watch this video uninterrupted, that's the place to do it. This is recommended by Nandezinzi or Nandez Inzi. I'm sorry. I'm probably butchering it, but you know who you are. And if you're watching, go ahead and hop in the comments and let me know the correct way to say it. So I'm excited to watch this because everyone's been telling me about Mourinho, because if you look at Pep Guardiola, you got to look at José Mourinho. And I did one video by him. It was like an X's and O's and it was awesome. So I think that's who it was. So I'm going to get started so we can see what it's all about. Before I do that, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video. That way you can be a part of my football brain trust as we continue on this journey of learning the beautiful game. Let's go.
We have a top manager. Again, please don't call me arrogant, because what I'm saying is true. I'm European champion, so I'm not one of the bottle. I think I'm a special one.
That is awesome. He's just saying it's true. I'm good. I have helped teams win. I'm good. Thank you very much.
Of the bottle. I think I'm a special one.
He is the biggest ego amongst football managers, but he's also a man who couldn't hold back the tears on live television after his dog passed away. You either love him or hate him, yet José Mourinho seems to have always been a one-man army against the world. Today, we will explore the complete story of one of football's most incredible characters. José Mourinho's love for the game started well before he was even born. His father, Felix Mourinho, dedicated his life to football, but as a goalkeeper. He played for Vitória de Setúbal and Bolnes, almost reaching 300 games in his professional career. Felix, who was once capped by Portugal, started his coaching career while he was still playing at Bolnes. Mourinho's dad was a top flight manager in Portugal, and Jose soon learned just how cruel football can be. Before joining a first division club, he managed to promote two teams. First, he took Amora to the top category, and then he joined Rio Ave and did the same thing. But despite his achievements, Rio Ave fired Jose's dad and left a scar for his young boy.
Damn. Yeah, that's how I was. Even back then, everybody gets fired. So you either perform or that's it, you're out. So, but this shows where he gets it from. I mean, he's been around football his entire life, and he's seen both sides as a player and a coach. That's a good start. Despite
his achievements, Rio Ave fired Jose's dad and left a scar for his young boy. I was 9 or 10 years old, and my father was sacked on Christmas Day. Jose learned one.
God. Come on, man. You at least wait till like the day after Christmas or something.
Oh boy. I was 9 or 10 years old and my father was sacked on Christmas Day. Jose learned one of football and life's most painful lessons that day. One day you're the happy son of a coach skipper, and the next day you find your dad crying on Christmas Day. But far from frightening him, these events gave strength to Mourinho Jr. He wanted to follow in his old man's footsteps, and they followed the same path for quite some time. Just like Felix, Jose joined Bolnes and also played in Rio Ave too. After a few years with no explosion in his career, he decided to step aside and become a football coach. But he was
so this is a little different than Pep, because Pep was a great player.
Few years with no explosion in his career, he decided to step aside and become a football coach. But he was still so young. Why on earth quit so soon? He realized he didn't have what it takes. He understood that he lacked the proper pace and power to be a top player, so he decided instead to be a top manager. Looking back, this was his first good call as a coach.
I mean, that's kind of like me, I could have been in the league and, playing basketball, but I was like, I'm gonna just be a coach.
He decided instead to be a top manager. Looking back, this was his first good call as a coach. After quitting business school on the first day, he started studying sports science. Even though the Mourinho we all know isn't a particularly humble man, he knew that his career would have to take baby steps at the beginning. He would take any job possible at a football club, from assistant to scout, until he finally got the opportunity he had been waiting for. Just not how he had expected it. Bobby Robson had joined Sporting Lisbon but couldn't speak the language. He needed someone beside him who understood football and could also translate what his players were saying behind his back. So Jose accepted an unexpected job. He joined Robson as his translator. It was a win-win situation for Mourinho.
Wow. Wow. That is awesome. That's a great way to do it right there. Because everybody needs you. The coach needs you. The players need you. You see both sides. That is really, really awesome.
Ball and could also translate what his players were saying behind his back. So Jose accepted an unexpected job. He joined Robson as his translator. It was
one other thing that is a benefit from that is you got to gain the trust of everybody. Sometimes players don't trust coaches, and coaches don't always trust players. But this dude had to get the trust of everybody, that he was being honest in his translations and everything. So that's really
a win-win situation for Mourinho. He got to work alongside a top-class manager and in a big club too. That's when Mourinho started talking and learning about football and tactics. Robson soon moved over to Porto and Jose went with him. It is true that Mourinho's job was being the coach's translator, but soon he got himself a promotion. Robson was totally surprised by Mourinho's tactical analysis. As Robson said, he'd come back and hand me a dossier that was absolutely first class. I mean first class, as good as anything I've ever received. Here he was in his early 30s, never been a player, never been a coach to speak of either, giving me reports as good as anything I ever got. Mourinho quickly got confident with Bobby and became the manager's assistant. They won 2 Portuguese championships, 3 Super Cups, 1 Portuguese Cup, and they reached the Champions League semi-finals. After 2 successful years in 1996, they said goodbye to Porto and greeted a team that, believe it or not, would fall in love with the duo. Suddenly, Mourinho was working at FC Barcelona. But Barcelona had no need for Mourinho. They wanted to push him out of the staff, but Robson insisted. The journalists from the time believed the roles of assistant coach and translator were incompatible, although soon enough they discovered that instead of translating Robson verbatim, Mourinho would start answering with his own tactical and football views. And in case you're either a centennial or hadn't been a football fan back then, there's more. When the Robson-Mourinho duo was coaching the Catalans, one of the stars of the team was Pep Guardiola. Now, if you know anything about
Here we go. Here we go. This is where it starts. This is where it gets good.
Mourinho, you know that this relationship with Pep wasn't the best one. But during his time at Barcelona, that rivalry wasn't there just yet. Before their big fights over football's main stage, Mourinho and Guardiola, believe it or not, were pretty close. After 1 season under Robson, Barcelona sacked him and called in Louis van Gaal. This time, Mourinho stayed at Barcelona and helped the new coach do the opponent's analysis. But Jose was meant for more. Being an assistant just wasn't enough for him. That's why he got his first call as head coach in 2000, sitting in Benfica's big chair. It was the perfect time to shine on his own. But that didn't last long. When a new Benfica president arrived, Mourinho wasn't part of his plans and he said goodbye to the big chance after only 9 games at the helm. I mean, he said he knows everything about football's ups and downs, and he was right. After a year with no club in sight, he got a head coach position at humble União de Leiria and got a pretty decent 5th position before.
What is that?
He got a head coach position at humble União de Leiria.
Let's take a look and see what that is. All right. It is, let's see. Oh, okay. It's a Portuguese football club based in the city of Leiria in central Portugal. 1866. Okay. Okay. So it's a football club. I knew it was a football club, but I just didn't know where it was. So now we know.
And got a pretty decent 5th position before the winter recess. Half a season was enough to properly relaunch his career. His scintillating form was so good that it caught the eye of another Portuguese giant. He got the call to be the new Porto head coach in the dawn of 2002. Now, the club was going through a tough time, far from any big European qualifications, and Mourinho changed it all. He would only lose 2 games that year, guiding Porto to 3rd place in the league and laying down the foundations for his 2nd season, where he would win, well, everything. In 2003, he won the domestic league, the Portuguese Cup, and the UEFA Europa League, his first ever treble. Porto became Portugal's strongest team internationally as no other since the 80s. But a mastermind like Mourinho doesn't stop there. Being a top manager means going for the top prize.
E em condições normais, vamos ser campeões.
Manager means going for the top prize.
E em condições normais, vamos
In normal conditions, we'll be champions.
ser campeões. Em condições anormais, também vamos ser campeões.
That is awesome. In normal conditions, we'll be champions. In abnormal conditions, we'll be champions as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And in 2004,
Did he slam his hand on the thing? Hold on.
Também vamos ser campeões.
and in 2004, he made sure that the world
okay.
really got to know him by
I like this guy.
Campeões.
And in 2004, he made sure that the world really got to know him by winning the Champions League. He would overcome
wow.
Deportivo de La Coruña, Lyon, Manchester United, and Monaco. He became eternal. Although beating Monaco 3-0 in the final might be considered the most epic moment of the tournament, that wasn't it. In their tie against Manchester United, after a heated confrontation with the legendary coach Sir Alex Ferguson, Porto scored and he celebrated in a very particular
Well, I sure would like to see some footage on that exchange.
legendary coach Sir Alex Ferguson. Porto scored and he celebrated in a very particular way. Old Trafford and the entire world watched Jose running down the touchline to celebrate with his players. That's the moment when Mourinho properly announced himself to the world. This move was not only remembered by all football fans, but it was also announcing Mourinho's next move. After winning every single title on offer, Jose had already conquered Portugal, and it was time to go overseas. His 4-year contract with Porto was up, so his next move was in store, a move to London, signing with Chelsea Football Club. In the process, Jose became the first ever Portuguese manager to grace the Premier League, and boy did he arrive in style.
Oh, wow. Portugangster.
With his very first press conference becoming one of the most iconic in football history.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit arrogant. We have a top manager. Again, please don't call me arrogant because what I'm saying is true. I'm European champion, so I'm not one of the bottle. I think I'm a special one.
Arrogant? Yeah, possibly. Special one? Absolutely. Zero doubt about it. You are and always have been special, Jose. Mourinho had become the special one, but now had a reputation to live up to. After his incredible achievements with Porto, he started proving his coaching quality in his first season in London, emerging victorious in the League Cup after an epic 3-2 victory against Liverpool. And this is where the English media properly caught a glimpse of the special one's unique character, as he put his finger to his mouth looking straight at the Liverpool fans. During that game, when Liverpool were leading, the fans at Anfield started to chant against him, and clearly, they didn't know who they were dealing with. Mourinho's performances in the Champions League also proved that he was special. During the quarter-final match against Bayern Munich, Mourinho was prohibited from being in the stadium. The Portuguese manager had earned a ban from the stadium after some indiscretions in the previous fixture against Barcelona. He snuck into the Chelsea
Wait, I gotta hear this story again, because this sounds like a good one. I gotta really focus here.
Munich, Mourinho was prohibited from being in the stadium. The Portuguese manager had earned a ban from the stadium after some indiscretions in the previous fixture against Barcelona. He snuck into the Chelsea dressing room 7 hours before kickoff. This guy really is a piece of work. And if you were surprised by that, check this out. After the team talk, he left the stadium in a laundry basket. Unbelievable stuff. Classic Jose.
Oh, wow. Damn. I like this guy. He's like no joke.
He left the stadium in a laundry basket. Unbelievable stuff. Classic Jose Mourinho. After beating Bayern, Liverpool fans did get their revenge with Mourinho as they beat Chelsea in the 2005 Champions League semi-finals with a very questionable goal from Luis Garcia. Mourinho's team were eliminated from Europe. But the sadness didn't last long. He then led his team to win the top-flight domestic title that was denied from the Blues for half a century, the English Premier League. After over 50 years, Mourinho's Chelsea lifted the trophy with a team full of stars like Drogba, Essien, Lampard, Duff, but a major part of their success was down to their defense. The likes of John Terry, William Gallas, Ferreira and Carvalho let in just 15 goals in that Premier League season, a record that still stands to this day. Chelsea couldn't have been any happier with their new manager. The London side started the following season with another trophy as Mourinho's squad defeated Arsenal and won the Community Shield. The special one had taken England by assault. His second season in London brought another first place in the Premier League, meaning his fourth consecutive domestic title in a row. He lifted the Premier League trophy after beating the mighty Manchester United 3-0. The special one celebrated in a special way. He threw his blazer and his medals to the crowd. That's what being part of this club meant to him, at least in Mourinho's mind. As if back-to-back Premier League titles weren't enough, he also won the League Cup and the FA Cup, beating Arsenal and Manchester United respectively. He was the King of England. Everything was was going perfectly for the Portuguese tactician. He had won every single domestic title again. He even won himself some days in jail.
What?
I'm sorry, could you speak into my good ear?
Wait, what? Now that might sound weird, but Mourinho did in fact spend some time at the police department due to his dog, of all things. When Mourinho and his family arrived from Portugal, his pet was supposed to stay in quarantine until its vaccination was fully checked. Supposedly, the dog was believed to have been brought to the UK from Portugal without the proper vaccination, prompting officials to consider putting it in quarantine. The dog was so small, so fragile, the kids were very small, they were in love with the dog. The police tried to get into the house to take the dog into quarantine. I grabbed it and put it in a backpack. I jumped out the window without them seeing me and took her to a friend's house. He was arrested for obstruction after failing to hand his Yorkshire Terrier to the authorities. Eventually, he got to call his lawyer to clear everything up and he was promptly released, only to find out that even Chelsea fans had launched a campaign to free the dog. Now that's what you call
Oh my God.
only to find out
The fans want the dog free, okay?
that even Chelsea fans had launched a campaign to free the dog. Now that's what you call a family. But families can hurt you as well. With his third season starting, an unexpected event happened. By mutual consent, Jose says goodbye to Chelsea.
The decision was made. Chelsea looked forward. I looked forward. They move on. I move on. I keep winning important things. They keep winning something. They won an FA Cup.
Mutual consent is a way of saying a lot of disagreements between the Portuguese manager and the chairman Roman Abramovich were reported. So Mourinho's next steps in football would be Barcelona. Wait, what? Yes, before moving to Italy, Mourinho had his eyes set on a glorious return to Barca. So was the Barcelona board keen on signing a former man of the house? The story goes that Mourinho had a meeting with the board that lasted several hours. In it, he presented his analysis of the squad, the strengths, the weaknesses, who needed to stay, who needed to go. The board was said to have been impressed and convinced, but the rest is not clear. Mourinho himself said it was him who rejected the job and that maybe one day he'll explain the situation in detail. Another version of this story says that when things were going to be
Dang, so this is something that needs to be added to the list. Why did Mourinho turn down the Barcelona job? Ooh.
Maybe one day he'll explain the situation in detail. Another version of this story says that when things were going to be final, one person single-handedly tore it all down, none other than Johan Cruyff, who allegedly told
Come on, Cruyff.
the board that the Portuguese coach wasn't the right guy for the job and that they would do much better with an inexperienced Pep Guardiola at the helm of the Blaugrana. Now this is how a supervillain was born.
I mean, he didn't know at the time. Well, I mean, was he right? Or was he right? I don't know.
Is how a supervillain was born. Mourinho was hurt and he would have his revenge. The special one took his personality and experience to Inter's squad. In his first season, he won the Italian Super Cup and, like usual, the top-flight Italian trophy, the Scudetto. Although despite his domestic achievements, Inter fans were not in love with Mourinho because of the team's sour performance in the Champions League. After witnessing their city rivals AC Milan win 5 UCL trophies in less than 20 years, the Inter Tifosi demanded international success right away, but things just needed some time. In his second season, the club legends Adriano, Cruz, and Crespo said goodbye, and instead of regretting this, Mourinho saw it as the perfect chance to truly build a team of his own choosing. He shocked the market while signing Diego Milito, Schneider, Thiago Motta, and Samuel Eto'o in one of their biggest gambles ever. The Cameroonian arrived at San Siro in exchange for the Swedish Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who was Inter's biggest star at the time. It's funny now because you could say that everyone was working against Pep Guardiola, even Pep himself. Eto'o was the missing link that this strong team.
Oh yeah, because he came from Barcelona. Eto'o did.
Working against Pep Guardiola, even Pep himself. Eto'o was the missing link that this strong team needed. And with him, Inter won everything. And we mean literally everything, as they achieved their first treble. They won the Serie A, beating Lazio, and the Coppa Italia, leaving Roma behind in the final. But again, the fans were still reluctant to praise Mourinho until seeing how the team performed in the Champions League final stages. And yep, you guessed it, Inter became kings of Europe as well. After beating Bayern 2-0 in the final, the Italian lifted the trophy they desired for almost 6 decades, and Mourinho re-encountered the title he loves the most, the UEFA Champions League. As it happened during his first UCL title-winning campaign, the final wasn't Mourinho's most important moment of that Champions League triumph. In the semi-finals, he faced Barcelona, led by Pep Guardiola and with Messi in his prime. Mourinho was still outraged for the controversial 2000.
Is this the one that he won 3-1? Let's see.
Guardiola and with Messi in his prime. Mourinho was still outraged for the controversial 2006 knockout stage against the Catalans when the Argentine allegedly exaggerated the fouls he received, and Barcelona eventually progressed against Chelsea. The Barcelona team, considered by many as the best team of all time, got quite surprised by Mourinho's strategies. A 3-1 victory in the first leg and a 1-0 defeat in the second game put Inter in the finals, and Mourinho proceeded to go crazy, running around the Camp Nou, an epic win and an even more epic celebration. While Inter fans were still chanting his name for the Champions League title, he was sadly saying goodbye to them. Sad, as almost for sure it's my last game with Inter. That's what Mourinho said shortly after conquering Europe once again. Although his sadness may have gone away when he signed with Real Madrid for a world record compensation fee. Jose was brought to Real Madrid with one mission: to stop Barcelona. Since Guardiola took the job, the Culés became the powerhouse of world football. In his first Clásico, Real Madrid were hammered 5-0, 5-0. For Florentino Perez, Real Madrid's president, this match was the worst game ever played by the Whites, while Mourinho called it the biggest defeat of his career. But despite losing, Jose always had a thing or two to say about Guardiola, claiming he'd be ashamed to win a UCL trophy the way Pep did back in 2009.
Fight.
José Guardiola è un entrenador fantastico de fútbol.
Josep Guardiola is a fantastic football manager. I repeat, a fantastic football manager.
Un entrenador fantástico de fútbol, yo repito, pero ha ganado una Champions.
But he's won just one Champions and one that I'd be ashamed of winning. Ooh.
Que a mí me daría vergüenza de ganarla. Porque la ganó con el escándalo de...
Because he won it with the Stamford Bridge scandal. What? I need to write this down because I need to know what the Stamford Bridge scandal is. And what was the other one? Oh, why he turned down Barcelona. Okay. We're gonna find that out. Here we go.
Stamford Bridge. Y si este año gana la segunda, gana...
And if this year he wins the second one, he'll win it with the Santiago Bernabéu scandal. What are all these scandals?
Con el escándalo del Bernabéu.
And in 2011, El Clásico would become the biggest game in the world. Barcelona and Real Madrid embarked on an unprecedented period in their rivalry, playing 4 Clásicos in just 18 days. 1 La Liga matchup, 1 Copa del Rey final, and 2 legs in the Champions League semi-final. Madrid v Barcelona, Ronaldo v Messi, Mourinho v Pep. It was as if football had turned into the NBA playoffs. Guardiola was the treble.
Yeah. That's a good way of saying it. Like the NBA playoffs, like the old Lakers versus Celtics games. Some of you might be too young to remember that, but anyway, that's what he said.
Winner of 2009, Mourinho was the king of 2010. The La Liga match was a battle draw, but it set up Barcelona for the domestic title, while the European semis went to Messi and the Catalans, who would lift the trophy in the end. Real Madrid's consolation was winning the Copa del Rey final, but in Madrid, things weren't going as great as his previous teams. He had always been controversial since day one, but his public behavior was a little off during his time in Madrid. When you think about the time that he poked Tito Villanova's eye in the 2011 Spanish Super Cup final,
what the hell?
The time that he poked Tito...
What in the hell?
His public behavior was a little off during his time in Madrid. When you think about the time that he poked Tito Villanova...
What is he doing?
His eye in the 2011 Spanish Super Cup final, you could say that his behavior was more than just a little off. He had always been known for not being soft with his rivals or his own players. He was even reported to make Mesut Ozil leave his girlfriend. Reports indicated that Mesut was skipping training and the Portuguese coach was annoyed at him and said, "Hey Ozil, idiot, Let me tell you something as if I were your father, because this girl you're going out with has slept with everyone at Inter and AC Milan, including the coaching staff of both teams. After hearing this, Ozil ended the relationship. And we couldn't leave out the time that he sarcastically compared one of his players with Zidane and Maradona.
You're speaking about Pedro Leon as if he's Zidane or Maradona.
Zidane or Maradona? Pedro Leon is un ottimo.
Pedro Leon is an excellent player, but only 2 days ago he was playing for Getafe.
Needless to say that Pedro Leon left Madrid shortly afterwards, and Mourinho would soon follow. His 3-year spell at Real Madrid was filled with incidents on and off the field. We all know Mourinho. He truly honors his nickname in every possible way. He is the special one. And the most bizarre incident as Los Blancos coach happened in 2012 and at the Camp Nou. Real Madrid had just lost 4-3 on aggregate against their biggest rivals Barcelona. It was a heated Clásico, as was every single game between the Spanish giants in that era. But the biggest incident came after the final whistle was blown. Mourinho gave one of his peculiar press conferences talking about the referee, Pep Guardiola, and all that kind of stuff that he used to say when he lost, and everyone thought he'd leave the stadium afterwards. But instead, the special one went straight to the referee's car park and waited for him to show up. When the ref Fernando Teixeira went to his car, Mourinho confronted him for his actions during the game. "What an artist you are, how you like to screw up professionals," Mourinho shouted, visibly furious with the referee. Mourinho's spokesman didn't only confirm this version, but also added that the Portuguese told Teixeira he was outraged, and luckily things didn't go physical. To be fair with Mourinho, the referee had a few controversial decisions that game, all of them against Real Madrid. Barcelona had won 2-1 the first leg and had a 2-0 lead in the second game, but before Pep's squad scored, the referee didn't give Madrid a penalty and then didn't grant Sergio Ramos a legal goal that would have put them back on track. Los Merengues went on to tie the second leg and were just 1 goal away from an epic comeback. But the referee didn't allow them to execute the last free kick, as he instead chose to inadvertently call full time. Mourinho's anger was totally understandable, but Mourinho's shithousery masterclass at Real Madrid didn't start by confronting referees at the car park. No sir, the special one had already made headlines for his unique management style. Who could forget the time when he told 2 of the Los Blancos stars to get sent off? Let me explain, because I already see many of you getting really confused just hearing this. So Real Madrid
You can see my face.
Let me explain, because I already see many of you getting really confused just hearing this. So Real Madrid smashed Ajax 4-0 in the Champions League group stage penultimate game. This result essentially made their last match against Auxerre a total dead rubber game, as Los Merengues would have already secured their first place ticket to the round of 16. Now, as you know, the Champions League rules indicate that a player carries his yellow cards to the following stages. So many coaches advise their own footballers to get booked before a dead rubber game so they can have their slate wiped clean for the last 16. But again, José Mourinho isn't like other coaches. He took this sneaky yet clever strategy a bit too far. 2 of his players, Xabi Alonso and Sergio Ramos, had already picked up a yellow card in the game against Ajax. They were just 1 more yellow card away from missing a game. So getting booked against Auxerre would mean losing them for the first leg of the last 16. What came next was as genius as it was outrageous. The special one spoke to Xabi Alonso and told the substitute goalkeeper José Mourinho to run towards Iker Casillas and then pass the message to Sergio Ramos. The plan was simple: get booked again and therefore sent off, to not carry the booking into the next round. But the Real Madrid stars were not as discreet as they should have been, because their plan was so obvious that everyone saw it. In added time and winning by 4 goals, Xabi Alonso and Sergio Ramos got sent off for time wasting. The defender even shook the referee's hand when leaving the field, almost as if he was thanking him for showing a second yellow card. UEFA proceeded to investigate the matter and logically found all of them guilty.
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Imposing a financial sanction to all of the players involved. Players Xabi Alonso and Sergio Ramos were fined €20,000 each. Iker Casillas was fined €10,000 and José Mourinho was fined $5,000. The red cards given to Alonso and Ramos stand, and they have therefore been suspended for 1 UEFA club competition match. The control and disciplinary body has decided to fire Real Madrid €120,000. Still, it was a pretty good deal for Real Madrid, and especially for Mourinho. The coach was suspended as well, but he had his stars ready and without bookings for the round of 16. Having joined
But wait, because they got that second red card, did they miss the first round of 16? I think that's what I heard him say. I don't think I understand that. But I guess if they get the red card, does that mean that they won't get any more during the round of 16 because they've already gotten it? I don't. Maybe somebody can explain that one.
Joined Los Blancos after winning the Champions League at Inter, the expectation in the Spanish capital regarding Mourinho were pretty high. So after 3 seasons in which he won La Liga, the Copa del Rey and the Spanish Cup, but without an international success, the Portuguese coach left Madrid.
Wow.
However, Mourinho got a different victory out of this. He essentially dragged Guardiola to the mud. He lowered the Catalan to his turf.
Pero ha ganado una Champions que a mí me daría vergüenza de ganarla.
Pep's reply was one for the books.
No sé cuál es la cámara del señor José. Deben ser
I don't know which is Jose's camera. Oh, camera. It must be all of them.
todos, deben ser todas estas. Mañana a las 8:45 nos enfrentamos
Tomorrow
aquí.
at 8:45, we meet here on the pitch. Outside of it, he has already won.
Y en el campo, fuera del campo, y ha ganado. Lo ha ganado durante todo el año. Ha ganado durante
He has won all year long, the entire season and the future to come.
toda esta temporada y en el futuro lo que va a ser. Le regalo su Champions particular fuera del campo.
I gift him his special champions away from the pitch. May he take it home and enjoy it like any other.
Se la lleve a casa y la disfrute como todas las otras. En esta sala, él es el puto jefe.
Oh. In this room, he is the effing boss, the master, the effing master, the one that knows more than anyone else in the world.
El puto amo es el que más sabe del mundo. Yo no quiero ni competir ni un
I don't wish to
instante.
compete with him for a
Pep
second.
was fuming. We never saw him like that again. And shortly after their duels were over, the club legend left Barcelona. Mourinho had done what he was brought in to do all along, to destroy Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
Well, you're certainly doing your job today, Mr. Sun. Oh, rats.
London was calling once again, more specifically, the blue side of London. In 2013, 6 years after his departure, Jose returned to Chelsea. He was wiser, but hadn't lowered an inch of his unique and controversial personality. And he was soon enough involved in public fights with his rivals once more. During his tormentous, titleless first season since his return, Mourinho failed to take Chelsea to the next level. But he did successfully go viral after telling a ball boy that someday the kid would get punched.
He's out of line, but he's right.
It all went down in Chelsea's 1-0 defeat against Crystal Palace. The youngster was slowly giving the ball back to Cesar Azpilicueta when the Blues clearly needed to speed up their attacks in pursuing an equalizer. Mourinho couldn't stand this any longer and was seen whispering something to the boy. Controversial as usual, the special one didn't deny the incident in the post-game press conference. I thought Cesar Azpilicueta was going to lose emotional control. I had the chance to get to the kid and I told him, you do this one day and somebody punches you. We saw what happened with Edin. Mourinho was of course referring to Hazard's incident 1 year before where he kicked a ball boy at Swansea for similar reasons. Poor Edin, he had nothing to do with it this time, but the special one spares no man. Mourinho escaped the FA with no sanction, so he was feeling pretty untouchable. And if you thought that that was the last problematic Mourinho episode at Chelsea, you couldn't be more wrong. 2014
Oh my God, this guy, he is always into something.
was the last
He's just like not a controversy every once in a while. He's just like a walking controversy.
problematic Mourinho episode at Chelsea. You couldn't be more wrong. 2014 was also the year in which Mourinho and Arsene Wenger almost got into a fist fight in arguably one of the most bizarre and at the same time expected confrontations. The Portuguese and the French coach clashed on the touchline. It all happened during the derby at Stamford Bridge after Mourinho called his colleague a specialist in failure for not having brought silverware to the Emirates in 8 years.
You know, he is a specialist in failure.
Wow.
I'm not.
Visibly outraged through the entire game, which Chelsea won by the way, Wenger lost his usual sportsmanship for a second and shoved the Chelsea boss, who retaliated in return. The coaches had to be separated and the match was temporarily stopped, although I can't help but wonder who would have prevailed in a hypothetical fistfight between the two. In any case, that was pretty much it for Mourinho's first year back at London, but in his second season, even though the Blues won the League Cup and the Premier League, his outrageous personality continued to dominate headlines. Although this this time, it wasn't Jose who threw the first punch. Rafa Benitez's wife, Montserrat Serra, said that her husband had to clean up after Mourinho's Real Madrid are the third of Jose Mourinho's old teams Rafa has coached. We tidy up his messes. Did this woman even know who she was poking? It was partially true that Benitez had replaced Mourinho at Chelsea, Inter and Real Madrid. However, there were other managers in between Rafa and Jose. But still, don't mess with the special one or he'll bite back. Mourinho, who had a bitter rival with Benitez since the Spaniard was Liverpool's manager when the Reds knocked Chelsea out of the UCL semis twice, trashed the woman and seized the opportunity to mess with his colleague. The lady is a bit confused. Her husband went to Chelsea to replace Roberto Di Matteo, and he went to Real Madrid and replaced Carlo Ancelotti. The only club where her husband replaced me was at Inter Milan, where in 6 months he destroyed the best team in Europe at the time. So far, so good. He made a fair point, although he also proceeded to hit Rafa unnecessarily. And speaking of unnecessary criticism, the former Real Madrid manager then poked fun at his colleague's physical appearance as a way to hit back at his wife as well. And for her also to think about me and to speak about me, I think the lady needs to occupy her time, and if she takes care of her husband's diet, she will have less time to speak about me.
I mean, I would go home and I would say, let's have a little conversation here, Mrs. Yeah, let's talk. Me and my wife, we would have to have a talk. You can't be doing that, messing me up. It's at work. I be talking about you. Just don't worry about this over here. Oh my God.
Not too classy for Mourinho to speak about Rafa's weight, especially after the Chelsea fans trolled the Spaniard for the same reason. But controversies aside, Chelsea's Premier League title seemed to be the first step of another golden era for Mourinho and the Blues. But in the dawn of the 2015-16 season, an unexpected incident would make Stamford Bridge tremble. During the Premier League's first game of the campaign, Mourinho publicly criticised Chelsea's physio Eva Canera. During the 2-2 draw against Swansea, the Blues were already down to 10 men following Thibaut Courtois' red card. When Eden Hazard felt a physical problem and threw himself to the ground, Canero instantly went to check on Hazard, which infuriated Mourinho. He then went on a tirade in the post-match press conference. I wasn't happy with my medical staff. If you are a medical doctor on the bench, you have to understand the game. If you go to the pitch to assist a player, then you must be sure that a player has a serious problem. I was sure that Eden didn't have a serious problem. He had a knock and was very tired. My medical department left me with 8 fit outfield players in a counter-attack after a set piece, and we were worried we didn't have enough players left. The coach prevented Canera from attending matches and even training sessions after the incident. Even though the players publicly backed Eva, she chose to leave the club 6 weeks after Mourinho's press conference and took the matter to court. Meanwhile, Mourinho released a statement in which he admitted to have insulted the woman by calling her the daughter of a bitch in his language. Filo de puta is a phrase I often use. All of the players know it. There is no sexist connotation in the use of the phrase. It's just like saying F off. In the world of football, a lot of swear words are used. Chelsea offered Canera a $1.5 million settlement deal, which was rejected. It was eventually settled out of court 1 year after the Swansea match, but neither were at the club by then, as Jose left Chelsea in December of 2015. He left the Blues for good this time, but he would return almost immediately to the Premier League to coach a giant and try to get them back on its feet. Mourinho joined Manchester United for the 2016-17 season. And yes, he did have some trouble that we'll focus on, but he took the Red Devils to their best era since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure. To this day, he has won more titles than any other Man United coach in the post-Fergie era. Domestically, Mourinho led their squad to winning the League Cup and the Community Shield, plus a second-place finish in the 2017-18 Premier League, United's best campaign in a decade. But before that, in his first season, the Special One achieved the international success that had escaped Manchester since 2008, as he lifted the Europa League trophy. The team functioned perfectly, David De Gea in the domestic league and Sergio Romero in the international competition, backed by a strong defense led by veteran Antonio Valencia. Paul Pogba was in charge of distribution in the midfield, accompanied by Fellaini and Herrera. To support the attack, an uprising youngster called Marcus Rashford, plus veterans Wayne Rooney and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It was all set for Mourinho to become United's next
That's a nice squad.
Wayne Rooney and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It was all set for Mourinho to become United's next historical coach. But the special one never escaped from a fight, and soon enough, the dressing room problems would undermine his stay at Old Trafford.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Mourinho's management generated a tense relationship with the senior players, a similar pattern to what happened at Madrid and Chelsea, although this time, things went even further.
Boy,
What the hell?
that escalated quickly.
While recovering from an injury overseas, Paul Pogba had a quarrel with the coach, who accused him of not being professional. Initially, the Portuguese coach denied this version.
I want him to play well. I want him to play for the team. I want him to play for the fans. And that's what he did. I have no problems at all.
But the Frenchman confirmed the problematic relationship that they had since the moment and assured that Mourinho didn't confront him directly, but went to his agent instead. It started when I got injured. I said I was going to Miami to do rehabilitation. A paparazzi took a photo of Zule and me. Jose sent the picture to Mino Raiola, and I didn't like that at all, he said. He's on holiday when we are working like bastards. I told Mourinho, are you serious? I'm injured. I train 3 times a day here. Who do you think I am? It was new to me to have an issue with my coach. What appeared to be a perfect fit quickly became an uncomfortable situation for all, and Mourinho left United 6 months before his deal's expiration date. But we all know the special one, and he wouldn't leave Manchester United without bragging about his spectacular coaching career, setting his colleagues on fire at the same time.
Do you know what this means? 3-0. But also mean 3 premierships, and I won more premierships alone than the other 19 managers together. 3 for me and 2 for them. Respect, man, respect.
Diminished not.
Oh man. Dang. I'm not sure how I feel about this guy. I mean, he's a great coach, but damn. Like sometimes your players gotta want to play for you. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Respect, man, respect.
Diminished not in his abilities as a coach, but in his group management, Jose spent almost a year without coaching. In a decision that outraged most of the Chelsea fans, Mourinho accepted a job offer and joined Tottenham. But his 15-month spell with Spurs wasn't really remembered by his achievements as much as it was by being the main star in the club's Amazon series, in which he left the best definition of what he demands to his players. I feel that you are honestly a very nice group of guys, but for 90 minutes, you cannot be nice. For 90 minutes, we have to be a bunch of intelligent, not stupid bastards in the sense of you are going to win matches. The documentary also helped us viewers to see Jose's more soft side, especially when he cried in front of the cameras after his dog died. But strictly speaking football, Mourinho once again struggled to find solutions with the Tottenham players. Despite some enjoyable moments, such as the 2 times he forked out a suckling ham for Sergi Reguilon so the Spaniard wouldn't have to cook dinner for Christmas by himself, but the majority of the time, he simply couldn't change the Spurs' constant irregularity. The squad wasn't as good as he anticipated, especially because some players' form went out the window. In fact, Mourinho gave a life tip to Dele Alli.
Wait.
Especially because some players' form went out the window.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Pep, but no, it's not.
In fact, Mourinho gave a life tip to Dele Alli in which he expressed his concern for the way the forward was facing his career challenges. I saw you do incredible matches and incredible things, but I always felt that you had ups and downs. There is a huge difference between a player that keeps consistency and a player that has moments, and that is the difference between a top player and a player with top potential. This analysis perfectly fit Mourinho's Tottenham, as they alternated between fantastic games and incredibly poor performances. Poor recruitment and disbelief in Jose's idea of waiting and counter-attacking also created some tension in the dressing room. Still, Mourinho managed to guide Spurs to the League Cup final, but the president of the club, Daniel Levy, fired him just days before the decisive match, a match in which Tottenham ultimately lost. Crazy because Spurs hadn't won a trophy since 2008, so was it really a good idea to fire a...
That's interesting. It almost feels like he fired him because he didn't want the owner didn't want Mourinho to take credit. That's interesting.
Because Spurs hadn't won a trophy since 2008. So was it really a good idea to fire a proven winning coach in a scenario like this? Who knows? And so the former Real Madrid coach was unemployed once again. Although always confident in his own abilities, he'd take on another huge challenge months later, this time at AS Roma. Many were surprised at this appointment, as Roma had been trophyless since 2008 and were essentially a mid-table team at this point. But Mourinho knew exactly what Roma needed. He converted a pessimistic environment into a hopeful one. The Tifosi instantly embraced Mourinho's project, and as a result, he guided Roma to an improved 6th place finish in Serie A, but best of all, they won the inaugural Europa Conference League, their first international trophy in 50 years. Mourinho burst into tears as he had become the only manager to have won the UEFA treble. 2 Champions League trophies with Porto and Inter, a pair of UEFA Europa Leagues coaching Porto and Manchester United, and of course, the Conference League with the Italians. He had done it all and decided to immortalize the moment by getting a tattoo of the 3 trophies. Just when both media and the fans were ready to retire Mourinho, he retired them all. Now his status is renewed. His name brings fear to rivals once more. We can't tell where Mourinho will go next. The only thing we know for sure is that whatever Mourinho does do next, it will be joy for us all to watch. Because for so long, many of us held this perspective that he was merely an arrogant personality in the football world. But over time, what's become abundantly clear is that Mourinho might just be one of the greatest and most respected figures in the sport's history.
That's true.
A special one.
He is a special one. Man, that is interesting. He's a great coach, obviously, but he ruffles a lot of feathers, man. I don't know. I'd probably still take it. I'd probably still take him because he brings a winning atmosphere. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Like, would you want to play for him? Is that somebody who you think you'd want to, if you were the owner, would you want to hire somebody like him to run your organization? What are your thoughts on that? So this was a great video. Thank you very much. Again, this was Nandez Enzi. Still not able to say that right. My bad. But subscribe to the channel, like the video. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.